what's your strategy when it comes to hypnotizing? And then
Oh,
a more important question is there an age limit or is there a restriction when it comes to hypnotizing? What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode. We are excited to provide a new episode, but before we get started, let's have our special guest introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Jones. I am a professional hypnotist. I do college, high school, corporate events.
There you go, hypnotist. So before we actually get started with that, what would you classify or what would your definition be for a hypnotist?
Yeah. So there's two types of hypnosis. There's to help people quit smoking, eat better, improve confidence, stop bad habits. And then there's the entertainment side. I focus largely on trying to be funny and putting people in situations where they can be really, really funny on stage.
Okay, perfect. And that's interesting that I didn't realize there's a difference between like hypnotists that are helpful and then you have like the entertainment. So what would you consider yourself to be a part of, or would you say that you're a little bit of both?
I'm a little bit of both. I work with some athletes, which is pretty fun. I work with some NBA players and some athletes who want to improve and get better mentally, tougher in their sport. I also work with some people who have problems with their relationship with food, and I tell them, food is a tool. It's something we need, but we can't abuse it. And largely, by and large, I get paid to perform at colleges and universities, and I've been to all 50 states, and I really like just making people smile.
That's awesome. What would you say your favorite state that you've traveled to so far?
Alaska, hands down, is my favorite state. The people there are very friendly. It's beautiful. It's not as cold as people like to think. They think, oh, it's gonna be freezing there. No, you can go outside in shorts a lot of times, and you'll see bears, you'll see eagles, you'll get to go fishing, you'll be on a boat. It's a great time in Alaska.
You can definitely say it's a cool place to be over there.
Cool spot.
Awesome. And then I guess the follow-up question would be, what motivated you or inspired you to be a professional hypnotist? I feel like you don't wake up, you're like, I want to be a hypnotist, or
Yeah.
you get hypnotized to do that.
Well, I really enjoy magic, and I loved magic my entire life. I love doing magic tricks, like seeing people get surprised and enjoy a really cool trick. But I wasn't very good at magic because I wouldn't practice. And so I learned hypnosis in college. I studied sociology, and then I went and got a master's degree. But in my free time, I taught myself, with the help of a mentor, how to hypnotize other people.
And how did you meet this mentor?
Yeah,
I guess my curiosity.
I have quite a few mentors, but the ones that have taught me hypnosis, Fred Winters, Salish, Dan Laurinaitis, I saw them perform. And after the show was over, I said, that was so cool. I'd like to do what you're doing. Can you give me some tips? And they were very generous with their time and their information, and they helped me along the way.
Definitely sounds like you would need to be coachable in this
Yeah.
field, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I think if you want to be good at anything, you have to be able to take feedback. And it's a skill, because as a performer, if you think they didn't like your show, you might feel they didn't like me. But that's not it. You just have to be able to take the good and the bad, and like you said, be coachable.
Definitely you gotta be able to handle criticism, and the other thing would be not to take things personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say are a few positives and a few negatives about being in this field?
A positive of this field is I get to travel a lot. I've been to all 50 states. I've been to 9 countries, and that's really fun. I get friends from all over. That's very exciting to me. The not fun part is show business is still a business. I'm not good at organizing my taxes. I like to share my money a lot more than I like to save it. And those are things that I'm going to have to learn to deal with. Also, when I was traveling at my busiest, at 150 colleges and universities a year, I missed a lot of birthdays and my friends' weddings. And so it's really hard, no matter what your job is, to balance your social life, your family with your career.
That's a big one, being able to find that balance. I know, being a student myself, it's really difficult to be able to find that balance. And what would you say in times? I feel like you've probably been in a situation like this, like you've been at a low in terms of like, I guess, work, or just kind of at a rock bottom. How would you say, or what strategy would you use to pick yourself up from that rut?
That's a good question. I think when you're at a low or a high, it's really good to remember that this is not permanent. Nothing is permanent. You know, 35 years ago, I was in diapers. All right. Maybe another 35 years, I'll be back in diapers. I don't know. Nothing is permanent. You know, you have to graduate in life. And so when things don't go great, I go, oh, well, that stinks. Let me get better. You know?
Definitely see it as a learning opportunity rather than an obstacle.
Yeah. And I heard somewhere, if you get what you want, good. If you don't get what you want, great.
That's big. I'm going to use that now, because I usually, as a teacher, we would say everything's a life lesson. Everything is either a lesson or it's an accomplishment. Either way, you're gaining something from it.
It's very, very hard to learn when you've won. That's a nice feeling to win and have a victory, but you're not going to get a lot of knowledge between your ears. If you come in second place, you'll feel something, but you'll learn something too. If you come in last place, you'll definitely learn something. I came in last place in state for track and field. I lost America's Got Talent. I got embarrassed on the national stage. I went on Penn and Teller Fool Us trying to fool them, and it didn't work. To use a baseball analogy, everyone strikes out sometimes. Like if you bat 30%, you're incredible.
That's true. That is very true. You miss all the shots that you don't take, and like you said, if you don't, you're always going to learn from something. It kind of goes back to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, what would be the most unexpected thing? So you talked about being on Americans Got Talent, and you had a lot of experience, and being able to personally see you in person, like you definitely learned how to master your craft. So what was the most unexpected thing that's happened to you during your performance?
That's a great question. During any performance?
Any performance.
That's such a good question. There are so many things that happen randomly. I've had people fly off the stage, literally thinking they can fly. I've had people hit their head on a chair, this one guy, and then he was unhypnotized and he had a big goose egg and he was convinced he wasn't hypnotized. Like,
oh, wow.
The thing is right there. It blew up that fast. He's like, I didn't get hypnotized. And I go, you hit your head on a chair because you fell out of it. He's like, I don't believe you. It's like, look in the mirror. So I'm not saying I want people to fall out of chairs, but it is real, this hypnosis stuff. It is crazy.
It's really wild. I know in a psychology class I took back in college, that was a question that was brought up. Hypnotist, is it real? Is it not?
Yeah.
Definitely after seeing your performance, like, okay, yeah, no, this is real.
Yeah. I like to tell people, if the show was fixed and I had actors, actresses, it would be the same show every time. I'd have to travel with people. Or if I said, hey, play along, it would always be pretty funny. Sometimes I have shows and they're not that funny. They're interesting. You know, I'd rather be funny and be engaging and have people just hurt from laughing and smiling. At your show, I had this one lady in the second row and she was like crying. She was laughing so hard. That's good. I want that. But not every show is like that.
And then that becomes either a learning lesson or
yeah,
it was just a tough crowd that night.
Yeah.
Reminds me with middle schoolers, everyone's always asking, what's your strategy when it comes to hypnotizing? And then a more important question is there an age limit or is there a restriction when it comes to hypnotizing?
Those are some really good questions. Let's start at the back. Is there an age limit? I think if you're over 5 years old, you can get hypnotized. You just need to have a pretty good grasp of the conversation that we're trying to have as a hypnotist. But your coaches can be a hypnotist. A teacher you trust can be a hypnotist. For example, if a dad says, here, have this yogurt, and his daughter says, I don't like yogurt, he can say, okay, come back with a sprinkle or two. It's princess parfait. I like princess parfait. Well, you've never had it before. Do you like it? Oh, I want princess parfait. I want princess. Okay, have it. It's the same yogurt.
Reminds me of child development of all the classes we take. Like when you're showing something that a kid doesn't want, you can take it away without them seeing. You change it up, give it a different name. Boom! It's one of the best things you've ever tried.
Yeah, people will argue about the quality of a Coca-Cola versus a Pepsi. And there's some science behind this, but in a blind taste test, people actually found that they like the opposite soda. You don't know which is which. One is sweeter than others. And so if you have just a taste of Pepsi, for example, I'm not saying it's Pepsi, but if you have a taste of Pepsi, you'll say, oh, this is really good. I like this more than this other one. But if you were to drink the entire 12-ounce can, you say, oh, this is too sweet. So it's still brown sugar with carbonation, but people swear, oh, I only drink Coca-Cola. I only drink Pepsi. We are what we tell ourselves. So I hope you tell yourself that you're something great.
The mind is definitely a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then the follow-up question is, I guess with the strategy, it seems like you would use, it has to do with a lot with the mind and how open someone's mind is. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, people say, oh, I heard if you don't believe in hypnosis, you can't get hypnotized. That's not completely true. Because there's people who watch TV, YouTube commercials, and they think they're not hypnotized, but you're wearing blue jeans. You want to buy these expensive gym shoes. You're doing the things that the advertisers tell you to do. My strategy is to try to gain trust, tell people what I'm going to do ahead of time, and then I say the right words in the right order, and I say the words again and again, because repetitive sound makes us zone out. And when you're zoned out enough, I can give a suggestion like, oh, you've forgotten your name, or you're at a great dance party, or when you wake up, you're a superhero, you have any power in the world you want. Then they open their eyes and they really think that they're a superhero.
Interesting. That's funny. And yeah, definitely seeing that. I remember falling asleep in a good way, falling asleep during your performance because you're saying sleep, relax. It was just like a meditation. And I noticed I was falling asleep. So I'm like, okay. And my brain's very interesting. Like once it sees the pattern, it snaps out right away. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. A nice practice for the students out there. If you ask a teacher or someone you appreciate and someone you trust to read you a fictional story and you close your eyes and you'll feel your eyes going back and forth in your eyelids. It's kind of the same as being asleep. You're in a dream state. That rapid eye movement, that REM, you're imagining it's becoming so real in your mind. And I'll tell you, I cried the first time I saw the movie Free Willy. I was a young child. The whale flies over his friend and he goes in the ocean with his family and I'm bawling. I was like, why did he get to keep the whale? They were best friends. My parents were like, no, he's with his family. I'm like, no. It's a movie, but they can make you laugh. They make you cry. That's the emotion behind our brains and our powerful there. Yeah.
Interesting. It's really cool to see that there's how big of a connection there is between the emotional side and then also how straightforward our brain can be sometimes.
You can logically say you are watching a movie. There's no reason to be scared. When that clown comes out of the sewer, oh my goodness, you feel that it's real.
Yeah, definitely. I remember watching I think it was Music Theory, and they talk about like how they're able to create so much suspense and horror, and usually it has to do with the music. I forgot the certain notes, but the notes that they play, it creates that sense of fear in our brain.
Yes, yeah. The cameras can do the same thing. If you think about the movie Jaws, dun, 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 dun. And the way the camera is angled. So you see the top of the water, you see a person swimming on top, and there's all this empty space, which makes your mind go, what's there? What's there? Here's a room, there's no problem. But if you turn off the light, there's all this empty space. It's just a shadow. That's the beauty of illusions, you know? And they turn on this light, so I'm not too scared myself.
Always gotta look at the bright side.
Yeah, I like that.
It's really cool just being just art. How I'm taking an art class right now, and our teacher is very passionate, though she's not pushy about it. She's like, you guys need to express it. You guys need to explore, find that creative side. And that's the scariest thing, is like, especially when it comes to why it's difficult for logical people to find art right away, is that there's no right answer. There's always
Yeah. You're right. Art can be amazing, it can be powerful, it can be offensive, but there's no right or wrong way to do art. I mean, Picasso's art looked like nothing else. So find your art. Some people like country, some people like classical. You know, some people like country and they live in New Zealand. Completely different type of country music.
That is true. I know, in Texas, being part Texan, country music, it's in my blood. It's good music, but over here in Cali, not so much.
You're from Texas, but the family's from Mexico.
My mom's side of the family's all from Cali, and my dad's side's all from Texas. So nationality, I'm Native American, Mexican, and that's it.
Okay. I was just going off your name. I apologize for my assumption.
No, you're good. It's funny because someone thought I was Filipino for my last name, and yeah, I'm like, it could be, but it turns out I'm only like 1% Asian, so.
I got you. Well, the Filipino history is amazing, and just their interaction with the Spanish coming over and giving them names. Yeah, we get into U.S. history, international history, crazy stories.
It's definitely wild. I'm taking a history class as well, and after finding out, so I didn't find out I was Native American until I think 2 to 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's like when I was 18, 19, and now like we're learning about all this history about Native Americans and all this stuff. It's really cool just to see, and it goes back way further than I thought. Like you mentioned, Filipinos, you have the Spaniards. It's very cool how it's all intertwined and connects.
And I mean, time and space really do fit together, because if we went back 300 years, is this still America? Well, the continent is here, but the country was forming, and we go back, it doesn't matter. It's I like history and I like geography, the two, time and space. Crazy concepts.
It really is. It really is. And speaking of time and concepts, knowing the information that you know now, if we traveled back in time, would you go down the same path that you chose?
That's a good question. You know, the beauty of Facebook, I get to see my friends and see where they are. And so I can see like a person who I used to date and see that she has kids now, and that's wonderful. And I think everyone says I wouldn't change anything. There's a few things I wish I had done differently. You know, I wish I had been there more for family. I wish I had been to more birthday parties. I also wish that I was more present. An example, my grandfather passed away and he was in the hospital for a few days. And I remember I was on my computer working on flights, and I should have not had my computer out. Yes, we were there for hours, but I should have enjoyed those hours with him and family being together. And I could have taken just a break. He was my grandfather who came to my football games and he helped me and read books to me. I could have put the computer down for a couple hours and said, I'll worry about this later. But when you're in it, it's easy and it's human to be a little more selfish than we should be. So I don't think I would change anything, but if I could redo things, I would be less selfish.
That's a really big one, especially nowadays in America. I feel like the most where everyone wants to be an influencer. Everyone wants to make it big, and you hear people tell stories like, "Oh, I made so many sacrifices. I need to be selfish for X, Y, and Z," which, yes, that unfortunately, like you mentioned, there's a lot of sacrifices that need to be made to be where you're at. Though at the same time, you got to find that balance.
Absolutely. I was doodling last night, and I think there's a whole bunch of fish who look at birds and think, oh, wouldn't it be great if I could fly? And then there's a bird who's like, ah, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could just swim everywhere? The grass is always green on the other side, and you should love the life you have.
Definitely be present and just count every blessing. I know my pastor would always tell us. And then our last question would be, what advice would you give someone who aims to do what you do?
It's a great question. If you're aiming to do what I do, be you. Because you is always changing.
Mic drop. There you
Be
go.
you. I'm happy being me, and I've taken this job. You can't be me. I can't be you. But choose kindness. Do your best. Sleep. And I would say keep a journal. Because it's really cool that I can go back and look at my problems years ago and see some of them still exist and some of them were crazy. It's like, I thought if I had $100, I'd be set. No. And now that I have $1,000, I think, oh, if I only had $1 million, I'd be set. No. There will always be another dollar. So maybe don't chase dollars. Earn them, share them, save them. But you can't save minutes. Your minutes with your family, your minutes in the classroom, out of the classroom. Like you said, try and be present, be grateful for all of those seconds, because all those seconds becomes minutes, and those minutes become hours, and those hours become your lifetime. So be you.
That's big. Awesome. Thank you, Chris, for just being here. Thank you for that amazing advice. Someone definitely is going to be excited to hear this.
I appreciate it. I have one question for you, if you'll indulge me.
Go for it.
This is the question that I like asking people. What is the one thing you wish someone would ask you?
Ooh, that's a great question. Does that question count? Hmm. Ooh, I would say two questions popped up is, like you mentioned, life can be very busy at times. And just that question, it's more of a reminder is, how are you being present? And I know yesterday for me, I was with my little brother. I spend very little time at home just because life happens. And I had the opportunity to be with my brother. After work, I was working and I finished work. I noticed he was watching YouTube videos, watching a video game that we have. So after work, I asked him, like, hey, do you want to play some video games? And he's really bad at games right now because he's like 13. But he's like, yeah, let's play. So we ended up playing for about 30-40 minutes. And then right after that, I needed to head out to go visit a friend. But it was really cool to spend like that 30 minutes fully present with him.
That's great.
I would definitely say that question would be the one to ask. How are you being present?
Thanks. I appreciate that. And you're a young man too. How old are you?
I just turned 25 a week ago.
Yeah, if I could go back and be more mindful. I was always thinking, I have all these goals, I gotta go, and there's no time. And when I was in college/grad school, my friends were close to me, physically close to me. I could just yell down the hallway, we're gonna go eat. And they joined me and I joined them, and it was great. Now I'm 36, and if I want to see my friend, I gotta plan a month in advance. And if a kid gets sick, hey, we gotta do it next month, I'm sorry. So, but there's benefits of this age too. Being 30 something, I don't care as much about other people's opinions. So that's fun too.
Yeah, life gets better when you care less about what other people think.
I'll share this one last thing. I do a lot of journaling, and the other night I thought Jesus probably doesn't care about a lot of things. Jesus isn't saying, "Oh, I know you had that many followers. Right this way." Jesus is like, "Oh, you got the new Jordans? Hey, let this guy in. Skip the line." Whoever your creator is, let being present with that creator be your compass. Let that be the thing that's your verified checkbox. You got muted for a second, I think.
Nice. I knew that was gonna happen. Yeah, I was just joking that that's gonna be my bio now.
Oh yeah, right.
Being present is a verification.
It's not a bad idea. Being present is verification. That's cool.
It's a good one. You can trademark it. It's all good.
No, it's your money. You got that.
Well,
thank
that
you
being
for
said,
sharing.
thank you guys for all watching. If you learned something new, high five someone next to you. And remember, PSA, pass a smile, stay safe, always be awesome. See you guys next time.
Dream big dreams. Bye-bye.